dinners. Would you like some breakfast? Well, we had a slightly disturbed night because it was quite strong winds and the van was shaking a little bit. Things were flapping, and in the end, even though I'm sure it would have been, I know it would have been fine, in the end at about 5:30 I came out, got my coat on over my pyjamas, took the insulation off it. You see, I can't put the roof down until I've taken the insulation off, so it does involve a trip outside, and once the roof was down it was very snug and warm and went back to sleep, with the result that we're now a bit later than rising than we usually are. It's, oh, I don't know, I think it's approaching 10 o'clock. We've just been for a walk along the lake, and actually this way along the side of the loch, which I hadn't done before, is actually really pretty, and of course I totally failed to take this camera with me, but I'll throw in a shot or two if I can. So here's a little bit more of the campsite at daylight, and I'm going to take the front insulation off, pack things up. Can't quite decide whether to have some breakfast here or to head back to that nice cafe, which of course, because we're rising later, will be open. I think I might do that. I think I might get some breakfast there. Then we're going to hit the road. We're going to go basically up to Inverness at that end of the loch, because there's no way across, unless you're Nessie. Go up to that end of the loch and out this way over, right over to the west coast to Ullapool and a little beyond. That's the plan for today. If we didn't stop, I think it would be an hour and a half to 2 hours driving, something like that. So we'll see what we see on the way. Well, we are just departing from the Loch Ness Shores campsite, and very nice it is too. What lovely people run it. Actually, lovely people run all of these places. I think you have to be a lovely person to be able to do this successfully. You have to be naturally sociable and forgiving and all sorts of other things as well. It's much later than we were intending to leave, but that's just fine. We'll still get to where we want to get to, as long as we don't stop on the way too many times before sundown. We're going yet further north, so sundown is getting earlier and earlier. Though we're past the longest day now, so shortest day rather. So we are getting, I don't know what, a minute and a half of extra daylight every day, something like that. So first stop is the Waterfall Cafe up here, since I fell in love with it yesterday, and then we're going to go to a supermarket on the outskirts of Inverness, which is about as unromantic in comparison as you can get, but we have a fairly empty fridge now, something we need to fill up. Just checking that everything is attached, it seems to be, and then we turn to the northwest and we go to the west coast, which will be very different kind of terrain from this, and I'm really looking forward to it. Well, just popped into the Waterfall Cafe for a latte and a granola flapjacky kind of thing. And look, even though the latte was going in my cup with a lid, I don't know if you can see this, but they still did some very pretty latte artwork. I love this place, it's great. Right. It's good coffee too. This lovely view. One of the great things about so much of Scotland is once you leave the towns, you leave the familiar things like, you know, big supermarket car parks. In just a very few miles, you can be out in this glorious countryside, and a little way back there, we passed a sign that said "Last shop before Ullapool." So I'm glad I stopped up back there. But this is very, very pretty, despite the grey weather and the occasional raindrop. It's a lovely road. One of the things I like doing when I'm on long drives is listening to audiobooks, and at the moment I'm listening to The War of the Worlds, H.G. Wells' story. It's part of a collection of all of H.G. Wells' science fiction, and this The War of the Worlds is narrated by David Tennant, who many of you will know as Doctor Who, and he does a brilliant job. It's really very nicely written. I've listened to a lot of audiobooks, and this is he's doing a superb job, and but it means that everywhere I go I'm accompanied by a Scottish accent as well, which seems appropriate.
A flicker of flame went up through the rising steam, and then the Martian reeled and staggered. In another moment he was cut down, and a great body of water and steam shot high in the air. The guns of the Thunderchild sounded through the reek, going off one after the other, and one shot splashed the water high close by the steamer, ricocheted towards the other flying ships to the north, and smashed a smack to matchwood. But no one heeded that very much. At the sight of the Martian's collapse, the captain on the bridge yelled inarticulately, and all the crowding passengers on the steamer's stern shouted together. And then they yelled again, for surging out beyond the white tumult drove something long and black, the flames streaming from its middle part, its ventilators and funnels spouting fire. She was alive still. The steering gear, it seems, was intact, and her engines working.
Well, I'm not going to stop long here or do any proper filming. It's a really pretty spot, but the rain is beating on me. Only light rain, but nonetheless, I think we just give Tilly a quick leg stretch, have a look at the view from here. I'll probably snap a quick photo down this way, and then we'll hit the road again. Fear that for the moment at least it's going to be a case of admiring the beauty from the inside of the van rather than the outside. Having been out in it for just a minute, it's a little moist. We've just pulled over here on the side of the loch. Which loch is it? Let's see. This is Loch Broom, and you might just be able to see through the raindrops a little bit of light just round the corner there, just to the left of the dark mass. I think that's Ullapool. Now that's where we need to end up in a couple of days' time to get the ferry onto Lewis, but we'll have a quick look at it, but then we're going to carry on through to the campsite this evening. I say this evening because of the light, but it's actually 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 20 past 2. Okay, let's push on before such light as there is vanishes completely. Well, welcome to Ullapool. This is rather grand. Wind down that window, you can perhaps see the view back in the direction we came. That's actually quite dramatic. I'm going to pull over and maybe take a photo of that. Along the front here there are various little shops, cafes, all closed at the moment. It's probably a very quiet time. Oh, there you go. No, not everything is closed, in fact. Yeah, I think most of the larger stores are open. Now this is the ferry terminal where we need to come back to. Ferry vehicle check-in is going to be along here. I'm just going to pull up here so we get a good view at the moment. So the ferry terminal's over there, and sadly the only ticket I could get for the day we needed to go to Harris in a couple of days' time was in the evening. So it will be dark. We will see the lights of Ullapool, but nothing else when we actually do it. So it's great that we get this view now. We will steam out, I guess, round here, and yeah. Well, unless there's a very bright moon, this is probably the most we'll see of it, which is a pity, but it will give us more time on the island when we get there. What a lovely spot. This is a Christmas tree made from lobster pots or crab pots. Ullapool is quite nice in, you know, having seen 3 streets of it. It's clearly a little more prosperous than some of the places I've been through, and nice little health centre there. The cottages were generally well maintained, well painted. Yeah, overall, so far as one can get an impression from 5 minutes in a town, I think this is quite a good one. New builds along here, you know, obviously not quite so nice, but not bad. And the colours are, the grey colours sort of fit in with the sea and the harbour. I'd like to stay and explore more here. We've just passed a sign to John O'Groats, 170 miles still to go to John O'Groats. John O'Groats, for any foreign viewers, is the northernmost point in the UK, furthest point you can go on the mainland. Some snow on the hills over there. This is where we'll come out on the ferry tomorrow, day after tomorrow. Over here, maybe you can see some of the view, at least as I turn away from it, from Ardmere Beach. Well, just paused here briefly to give an idea of the countryside through which we're driving. It's just lovely, rugged and knobbly and brown and meandering roads and winding streams, and the light is fading fast, so I wasn't sure how much more footage I'd get to today, but this is very good. Well, it's still a little bit of a mess in here. But I have got the roof up, but there is a real gale blowing off the sea here, and I'm wondering, wouldn't surprise me at all if we had to take this down in the middle of the night, or even before the middle of the night. However, there's still a little bit of light left, so Tilly and I are going to go and have a quick walk on the beach, because poor thing's been deprived of a good walk all day. Hi, Tiddles. This is a good girl. Let's keep you on. I don't think you really need it, but tuck my glasses inside my coat here so they don't blow away. But I don't think I've ever been I've never been in such strong wind in the van, but I don't think I've ever been quite so close to the smell of seaweed when I walk out the van door. If you can hear any of this, it is rather wonderful. Tilly, walk along this way a bit. Right, well, we have the roof up, we have the insulation on. I'm strongly suspecting we may want to take the roof down overnight, actually. Even though, again, it'll probably be fine. We'll just sleep calmer if we're not worried about it. At the moment we're heading pretty much into wind, which is why it's not flapping more than it might be. But the insulation on the front, which normally just lies gently against the front doors, does have a couple of tie loops that you can use to tie the bottom down to the door handles, and I think it's going to be worth tying those on. So somewhere, let's think, I have here a knife. Actually, I have some scissors, and I think in the back I have some string, and actually string is probably in there, so I'm going to go and do some makeshift insulation attachment, because whatever we do, we'll leave the front insulation on. And then we have another fun project which is on the way, believe it or not. We stopped and we bought a radiator. This is a very small oil-filled radiator which we bought from Dunelm on the outskirts of Inverness, and this should, I think, be perfect. We've been using the fan heater or the diesel heater up to now, and ironically, I was thinking they make quite a lot of noise overnight, and it'd be nice to have something that just in the background kept the van warm. This is not as powerful as they are, but so I've got to unwrap in this location. I'm unwrapping a piece of an electronic bit of white goods appliance thing, and it will no doubt have some packaging I then have to discard somewhere. So this seems very bizarre, but I think it should make the night more comfortable, though I suspect the noise issue will come from other sources tonight, not from our heating system. Right, Tilly is disappointed she didn't get a better walk, but it's dark out there now, and in about an hour's time, hour and a half's time, we're going up to the pub over the road for some food, so that'll give her a little bit more of a walk today. Meanwhile, let's try and tie everything down for the night. Well, we are just walking up from the campsite. Sort of shop and facility building down there. You can't quite see our van, it's hidden behind. And we're going for a walk in this beautiful countryside. Now, it looks pretty dark and foreboding over here, but actually it's dry, it's remarkably mild, it's very windy. It's probably quite a bit milder here than it is in Cambridge at the moment. My monitor on the van says 8.5 degrees or something, which is amazing. Here you see amplifier Campervan bar where we had dinner last night. Well, I had dinner last night. Only bad thing about it, sadly, is that they don't take dogs. But other than that, a great place, and I think the only place to eat for miles around. So they are popular in the local area. Hello, sheep. You look pretty relaxed today. Clearly, having dogs around doesn't faze you too much. There's a sheep coming out of his driveway. Hello. So the sun is rising here at the moment, just after 9 o'clock in the morning. It gets light a little bit before that, but and I think it goes down at 3:30. So there's 6.5 hours daylight, and that's the downside. The upside is that we're on the west coast of Scotland and there are no midges, which, if you know Scotland, and particularly this bit of Scotland, you'll know that these small biting midges are the plague of the place, and in particular they love me. They eat me for breakfast, lunch and dinner, and so it is very nice to be in this kind of countryside without them, even if it also means being here without the sun. For Tilly, this is one of the good days. We have some mostly walking days and some mostly driving days, and she definitely likes the mostly walking days. Right, so there's a circular walk here. We're basically just going to follow the road, which is good because I don't have a map and I don't have any coverage. I will try the coverage from time to time. As it happens, today is also my wedding anniversary, so it's sad that Rose is several thousand miles away, but just think, she's put up with me for 28 years. Pretty impressive, really. She must be an angel. What a great spot for a campsite, isn't it? Down there. Wow. Now, this is very windy here. I don't know if you can hear me at all. I'm holding it quite close. This is a lovely bay here, and one thing I notice is you certainly don't need a lawnmower. These lawns, this grass here is trimmed beautifully by the sheep, and certainly they do a really good job. You couldn't mow this very easily. Let's go down to the waterline. down here. And a chocolate bar or a drink or something, if available, would be very nice before we start the second half and head back home. Actually, I'll tell you what they do have here. They have a fire station. Isn't that sweet? It's a community fire station. And it's got a real fire engine in it. Well, this is the local church, the local free church, the weekly services every Sunday at 3 PM. It's a little weather beaten from this side, but that's because look what it's facing that way. Got chickens, some wrap of some sort, and something which claims to be coffee, but it doesn't bear very much resemblance to it, but it is hot bread. Interestingly, whenever I've said to anybody around here that I'm taking the ferry tomorrow over to Stafford, they say, oh, it's to that event. So it might be a rough crossing if it's a crossing at all. However, that's still welcome, despite I really don't think Ness Cafe deserves the cafe term. No, it is coffee. Well, as we walk away from Achiltibuie, as I now know it is pronounced, we're being blessed with some fabulous bits of light on the sea behind me, and actually over there. And I'm going to keep stopping and taking more photos of the things I've already taken photos of. But look at that! We're about to turn away from it, so it's very nice of it to give us a last encore. So I'm pondering here as I'm wandering. If I hadn't gone into the public loo back there, I wouldn't have seen a sign to Achiltibuie stores. If I hadn't seen that, I would have tried going down there to see if I could find some lunch. And that delayed me enough to see a wonderful last bit of light on the water over there. But I also wouldn't have met the nice lass who asked if I was coming to the ceilidh tonight. Apparently there's a ceilidh on a Christmas ceilidh in the village hall over there from 8 o'clock. So it's pretty hard if you're in these parts, especially if, like me, you're a fan of Local Hero, the film, which is constantly on my mind when I'm in this kind of scenery, to refuse the idea of going to a ceilidh. Now, it involves a little bit of hassle, but not very much really, because I didn't unpack the van as much as I sometimes do. I haven't turned the driving seat round, I haven't, so it wouldn't be that hard to get it in. It would only take a few minutes to get it in a drivable condition. So I think we might go and have a look and see what the ceilidh holds. Perhaps see how exhausted we are when we get back. It is another probably 4 miles back to the campsite, and at the rate I'm going, that could take quite a long time. That's partly though because I've been stopping to take so many photos, and as the sun goes down, which which it'll do in about 2 and a bit hours time, I'll probably take fewer photos. So perhaps we can keep up a better pace on the way home and then recover for a bit and then think about whether Kaylee is on the books for tonight. Well, I've just called Calmac and they don't have any news yet about the ferry tomorrow. So at the moment it's still going, but the wind is picking up and the forecast is going to be strong. Anyway, just pause here on the way back. There's a rather good map here. It's really nice to have a large scale map right here. So the campsite is about there. Basically, let's see if I can get close here. There you go. So yeah, there's Achiltibuie there. Coming around there. We are currently here, I think. So probably a couple of miles that way. Something like that. And here is the information about Kaylee tonight. £5 per person, includes hot food and drinks. Well, this is proving to be quite a hike. I don't know if you can hear me. I've stood with my back to the wind to try and get my shelter. But it's a bit further than I thought around this way. Let's see, my watch says I've done just under 10 miles. I think there's at least half a mile, maybe a mile yet to go. So quite a hike, but the main thing is we have some rain. Not heavy, but horizontal. Just sort of spray constantly. And the wind is really, really strong. The chilly ears are flapping in the breeze. But it's all part of life's rich tapestry. We'll be back in a small van soon. Well, we found briefly a sheltered spot here. A great big rock and a fabulous view and a phone signal. So what I've done is downloaded what I should have done earlier, but I didn't have any coverage, is I've downloaded some proper maps of the area. So I've got the OS maps here on my View Ranger app, and it looks like, I reckon it's a good, let's think, those are kilometre squares. It's 1.5 miles to 2 miles till we get home. So a little bit of a trek still. My feet are starting to tell, but you know what? There's a nice bed waiting for me in the car. That's pretty good, really. There's one for Tilly too, and a heater. Not that, actually, I'm not cold. I'm sweating. I mean, this is just amazing. It is so mild. But despite, you know, driving mist, it's actually the temp, you know, I still haven't put my gloves on, right? There are 1 or 2 points where I thought I might, but so far it's been fine for that. Wind's picking up again. I'm having to lean into the wind while walking up a hill. Hello. You handsome giggs. Hello. I'm sorry, I haven't got anything for you. No, I haven't. Sorry. Well, we made it. We are back at the van. My watch says we've done just over 12 miles. 12.13 miles. I'm not sure how accurate it is, but it feels as if it could be about that. If you asked me to guess, I would certainly guess more than 10. Had I known I was going to do that much, I probably would have worn my backpack and things like that. But that's been quite a walk. Amazing scenery, pretty dramatic weather. I'm very keen to get inside, put my feet up, have a cup of tea, and think about what we do next. So I imagine, well, Tilly still seems game. She's done very well. I mean, 12 and a bit miles, given that in dog years she's supposed to be, 72 or something. That's not bad going. She's got twice as many legs as me though. Makes it easier.